podcast.
Do not go in there.
Hello and welcome to the Fridge Friends podcast. I'm your host, Jake Martin, and tonight we have a very special guest in the fridge, Niko Lukoff.
Hey everybody. Hey, how's it going? How's it going, Jake?
Pretty good. I'm excited to have you in the fridge for a lot of reasons. It's your first time on the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool.
We've known each other quite a while, but never had you in the old man cave. This is where I keep all the stuff I don't want my kids to break.
All right.
But Nikko has made a lot of strides in the Boise comedy scene. You've been doing comedy 5 years, you said?
A little over 3, actually. About three last August. What's that put me at? About 3 in a few months.
Okay, yeah. About 3.5 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. I actually mentioned you on our last podcast because I know you do VR comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've never done that, and I watched a couple of your videos from that, Failed to Render.
Oh, you did? Cool.
Yeah, is that usually what you do, where you do the VR
Yeah,
comedy?
so I've done VR comedy like one other time through another group, and I just don't waste my time with it anymore. Like they're the OGs of it, and they do a really good job of it, and they're really professional, really funny, bringing great talent. I'm not wasting my nights doing other stuff. There might be great other groups out there too, but Failed to Render comedy is I think where it's at.
And they always have like a pretty good audience, pretty good variety.
Yeah. So one of the things I love about it is this whole virtual thing. One thing I love about it is it gets us all kind of on the same playing field in a way. Like I've gotten on shows that I have like no reason to be on a show from the time I've been doing comedy or whatever, but just because I've been in the scene and like doing Zooms and stuff, and I'm getting connected with them, I got opportunity, and it's pushed me to do better because I've eaten shit on there before. Because there's actually been ones where.
Well, so how do you tell? I mean,
that's a good
to cut
point.
you off, but like,
no, dude, you
like,
get a point.
The one of them I watched, it was like bubbles.
Yeah.
Coming up, is that how all of them are?
So they just went. So they have them in different programs, basically, like different apps on your headset. Like one was called Alt Space, and that was the main one that was used. And now they're using another one called Horizon Worlds, which is I don't know. If I've only done that one once. I want to say it's better, but it might also just be because I had a better show, so like I felt better about it.
Yeah.
But usually you see the hearts and the whatever, like they'll hit their emojis and stuff, and then you hear some laughter, but it's weird delays, not exactly like Zoom, but similar to it. And it's still a weird format, but it is closer to live comedy than Zoom, even though you're like looking at cartoon characters. So I'm sure in years when they're listening to this podcast, they're going to be like, that's, you old farts, that's insane. It'll look really good. But at the time, it was
that's usually how people think when things are on the cutting edge, too, though, where they're like, this is never, like when Nintendo came out, people were like, this is never going to take off. Or personal computers, people are like, no one's going to buy this. And now it's like, most people have 4 or 5 things in their house.
And that's actually how I got us to get headsets at home, because I wanted them for comedy, but, wife and kids, and they liked using it, so we bought one. And we didn't tell the kids we were giving them for Yule, Christmas, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we were using it, and we were like, we're going to need 2. So my wife and I would use it like when the kids are in bed. And I mainly wanted it for comedy. It's usually what I use it for, but they do use it for all kinds of shit. But, they make, there's laughs, and they show emojis that pop up. One of the things that's harder, though, on that compared to one of the nice things about Zoom, which I know seems oxymoronish in any way, is you can, if someone's actually paying attention and like looking at your eyes, you can see their facial expressions. See that motion.
Okay.
You could really see it because you're just on Zoom. On
Yeah.
VR, you might see like this, and that person might have just like gone to the bathroom. You don't even know. Like you have no
It's
idea.
just whatever the emoji is doing.
You don't know what is actually happening. They're getting better on it, and there's higher end headsets now that do more of tracking your eyes and all this kind of shit. That Kyle Render brought. It's scary. It's scary and amazing. Where he had a better headset on, so the other night last week when I did a VR show, he was like, check this out. You can see my eye motions and all this shit. I'm like, this is insane. It's still avatars. You're still a fucking cartoon.
Yeah, but it's more interactive.
Like and you can feel it. Yeah, exactly. So one of the things though is they get really good comedians. Like they get. Like, I'll be in the back green room or whatever. I'll be like, we're doing the show. And someone will be like, I'm going on a cruise ship next week. Or tonight I'm headlining at this venue in Texas. And I just happen to be popping in my car right now to do the test. Some of the guys, like, hosting it even would, like, be sitting in their car and they have a way to make it look like they're standing up in it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm like working off a hotspot. I'm like, that's commitment to what you're trying to do right here.
That's super cool too, because then, like you're saying, you could do it in your car on the way to another show.
Yeah.
You're getting connected with all these people from different states.
Every
that
one of
normally
them
want to be on the same show together, and like
just like any show, I add them on to Facebook and all the socials. So immediately there's, there might be 3 to 6 comedians that I didn't know that now when they're like, we're going to talk to each other when, there's opportunities obviously for their shows and also just like connecting and being friends.
Yeah, networking.
But now we're like, oh, if you're doing it, that's how I can get a lot of the show spots I get. Like when I travel is like, oh, I was on a show with this person, we work together, hey, and they happen to be producing a show. So similar in VR, but we're getting people from all over the world on it. And, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, and they can kind of see your material and stuff too, which is cool. I mean, like you were saying with out-of-town shows, you got some shows coming up in Oregon, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's pretty sweet. And then I know you also travel, so you might have made some of those connections through that. But it also seems like a nice segue into showing people your material that normally wouldn't see it just by doing it online. And you don't have to pay $500 in gas to drive there and back, and hotels and all that.
I love it when I got buddies who friends who knew me way before doing comedy, and they'll be like, hey, can I see a tape? People like in different states. And I'm just like, yep, here's a couple of unlisted links, and here's a couple of listed ones. Yeah. This is some stuff we got going on. And one of the weird things in that scenario in VR is they have a counter, say how many people are in the room. So that's a way that they can judge like how the show's going. Oh, okay. And that was in Altspace. They don't quite have it in Horizon Worlds, which is fine. It's just, it was neat. So like, they could watch a thing, and if the number's going down, they know that whatever's happening right now is probably not the greatest thing.
Yeah, somebody's virtually.
And that happened to me once. I happened to me once, and I was just like, my heart just broke. I was just like, they're like 2 minutes. I'm like, fuck. I went to what I thought was my best stuff. I brought up to double what it was at the time when the show got back, but I was like, shit, I got to step it up. And I did. Yeah. They pushed me, like, working with people that are better than you makes you.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Be better.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome.
And then that also makes it every time a word does good, it goes well, it feels even better.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And like you were saying, you're trying new programs and stuff like that, so it's always changing, and it's at the beginning of it, so you're getting in with experience and stuff that, I'd say probably 90% of comedians don't have. Oh, yeah, at least. And eventually, I could see that being, a good chunk of the comedy thing is in some type of virtual space, because that's becoming more and more prevalent. Yeah, so I mean, that's why we brought it up on the last podcast, because I was talking about how there's more and more comedy VR, and then Danny and Tanya were like, what? I didn't even know that was really a thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I see like big name shows coming up on VR and Zoom shows and stuff, and I think it started because of the pandemic.
Oh, sure.
But now people are seeing there's a way to reach a bigger audience and do it, for whenever and wherever. I know Tommy Feldman's comedy happy hour. Yeah, they had me on their Zoom show before. Nice. And then ever since then, he invites me to do his Zoom mic every week.
Yeah, Wednesdays. Yeah.
Yeah, and for a while it was like, well, I'm at a live one at that same time. But now, hey, they're not doing the
check it out, dude.
One, so.
Let me, if you do that, hit me up. Let me know, and if it works out, we can hop on. And I will. I don't know if you knew this, but I was like a regular part of the show on his show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So he interviewed me when I had done. It was like I was a guest on it. Like, I think I told him I had done about 30 sets live prior to the pandemic. I had only been comedy for 7 months. Didn't do a lot of sets. It was only when I traveled doing open mic for the cities. So I didn't do any comedy in Boise until about a year and a half ago.
Oh, wow. So you're just only doing it when you're on the road for your job?
Yeah, so I just started, and I was kind of being a wuss about it, and I was just like, I'm just doing it on traveling. Also, wife and kids, like, I'm gone a lot. So if if I come home and then I'm just gone more nights, that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, that's
like, fuck you, dude.
A rough sell to the wife and kids.
And that's just fucked up. But then like when I'm on the road, I'm like, I could sit in my room, do Netflix. I'm incredibly extroverted all the time. Like, so, or I can go burn this energy and like put this into something cool and have fun and meet people. So that became the thing. I would go out and do comedies, and then the pandemic, and then I hopped on a Zoom, and then I just dove really hard in that because I just started. I got the bug. I'm like, I'd explode. Like, how could I can't stop doing this. I'll just go insane.
Well, that's a unique way to start. I mean, almost nobody starts with like strictly out of state shows. You
That's
know?
true.
Which is cool because your job, you know, but it gives you a different experience than other people because you're like, I'm going up on Wednesday in Tacoma, and the next time I do open mic is in Portland or something. Yeah. Most people do the same area for quite a while and then branch out.
And then maybe let's go for a road trip, guys. Let's split some gas and go wherever.
Yeah.
And it's very fortunate in the way that it worked. And it you know, when you're signing up at open mics that don't always put everybody on, it's always, if you say you're from out of town, you have a little better leg up than the locals that you're like, sorry guys, but not really
because
sorry.
they're seeing them 5 days a week, you know.
Exactly. Like there's a helium, I think they had it set up so like about a quarter of the time local. I don't know now, but I think it was about a quarter of the time locals sign up, they'd get on and they'd have like their helium Portland. That's when I did my first open mic.
Oh wow.
But then whenever I go there and visit, and it's been several, 2 months, 6 months, and I put my name down, just hey, visiting. You know, there's one time they didn't get up, but most of the time I do.
Oh wow.
So I'm kind of spoiled.
Yeah, well, it's probably a pretty popular mic.
Oh yeah, that's where everyone wants to go.
Almost a sure thing each time.
And if you don't get up there, then there's a bar you go to, Firkin Tavern. And even if you get up there, you still text the other one when you leave, like, hey, can I get a spot? And that goes to like midnight or whatever, and that's the next spot that everyone goes to. And
nice. Yeah, I went to Portland on a trip with Caden.
Oh, nice.
One time to do comedy, and we weren't there on the right night for the helium. Yeah.
Tuesdays.
Yeah, but we got to do Chris Hudson's open mic at the time. It was Captain Enke's.
That place is now no longer going. I think the business has actually.
It was in a rough area of town.
Yeah, it was. I'm not like, I don't want to be an asshole, but like, you're probably not like shocked.
Yeah.
And Chris, did you know that I knew Chris from Zoom?
No, I mean, I knew that you guys knew each other.
Oh, that's fun.
But I just figured, from your trips to Portland.
That's where I knew him from. Is I knew him from Zoom, and I actually met him for the first time in person, doing an outdoor open mic in Portland, where I ate a bag of shit. Well, it's hard to tell, but you got a bunch of cars out there, and this was like all COVID-y times.
People are in their cars?
They're in their cars. They got their FM transmitters. You're talking into these transmitters in their cars, and you're hoping they honk and flash their horns, or they don't flash their horns, but honk and flash their lights.
Yeah.
That was their reaction. And I just done, hundreds of sets on Zoom, so like my brain and I had to rewire some shit when I went live.
Yeah.
Because the timing and everything was just different. But that's where I met him, and in person I met some other people there too. I'll see you next month when I'm there.
Okay, yeah. We also got to do the Arrowhead bar. I don't know if you've been to
that
one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I liked that
did
one a
you?
lot more. Yeah.
Nice. I went there one night that was pretty late. I didn't do great. but it was cool.
We did pretty good.
Awesome. I'm glad, man.
I think it was partially because of the out-of-town thing, It seemed like the other comics, they had funny jokes, but maybe the crowd had heard them before because there seemed to be like a little more energy for me and Caden, and it was like,
awesome.
I've seen that same kind of thing here where like comics will do like a really good set, but they've been doing that set.
Oh yeah,
and then an out-of-town person will come and they'll have
some
good stuff, but it like crushes because no one's heard it. Yeah, new face and all that.
Well, good job guys on that. So the Tommy Feldman, it hit me up. Then he joined the Facebook group that started Displaced Comedians, and he was like, he had posted on there about like just about his show and stuff, and I messaged him like, hey, I did about 30 live sets, but I've done about 300 sets on Zoom, so I have a different perspective than you might have.
Yeah, it's kind of perfect for what he's got.
Yeah, so like and then we talked, and then he's like, hey, yeah, come on, be a guest, and then I was, and then he invited me back to be a regular part of the crew. So every Friday night, I'd go in my garage and we'd interview comedians and we'd play silly games and stuff. And then eventually it's just like it became not as pertinent. Yeah. So you just kind of, we kind of stopped it. And then, I'm still friends though. And that's cool that you were on that show. I might have been, I'm trying to remember if I was on the one that you were on or not. I don't remember.
I don't think so. Because I saw all the people, and I'd already been doing comedy a little while when I was on there, and I feel like we met pretty early into me doing comedy, so I would have been like, oh, hey, what's up, Nikko?
It's just fun, these connections, man, because like then you go somewhere and then see people that I didn't know were going to be in a different town or whatever, so like that, like seeing people pop up and have different things, and it's wild and neat.
Yeah, it kind of brings the small world thing together, too, where you're like, oh, hey, like, I think the reason I was on that show is because they had like a special episode that week for viral videos, and I had just posted something about like a video I had that took off or whatever, and then they wanted, to do a little bit about comedy, but mostly about like, how did you, think of this, or what can you tell anybody else to try to like raise their views on videos and stuff. And it was even before like Instagram switched over to doing reels on Instagram and Facebook.
Oh, wow.
So it was like TikTok and Instagram are the only ones with like the 30-second things. It was before YouTube Shorts and all that stuff. So
cool. Good job,
that's
man.
pretty cool. I'd like to do that guy's mic sometime too.
Yeah.
And I think the show's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, it's fun. Hop on there. I forget if he streams it or not. Some people stream their Zooms and some don't, and whether you like that or not.
But I've honestly never tried it, and the more I see, that becoming a bigger and bigger thing, the more it's like, I got to put this in my toolbox too. Like one thing I've learned just from this short time that we're talking together about stuff we normally don't talk about is that you've done a huge variety of different types of comedy. You've done some outdoor car stuff, VR, Zooms, live shows,
Yeah, I done a bunch. I at one point added up just based on some averages, and I was like, I've done 1,000 sets in the internet.
Oh wow!
And I was like, holy
that's
shit,
awesome, dude.
That's like, and I don't know how long it'll take to do 1,000 sets live, but it's so different too, and it's so weird. But it's the same and different. Obviously, the goal's the same, connecting and getting laughs and all that shit. But it was also just a time where like everyone was kind of going crazy, and we needed to do something. And then after the mics, just like in live mics, we just would hang out.
Yeah.
Sometimes hang out, have drinks, and just fucking talk, and just like be connected to people doing.
Oh, in the Zoom thing?
Yeah, we
nice.
we do an after hang, and then like it was also really good, easy to give each other tags.
Yeah,
because you're just like, you're not like in the show where like you look like an asshole with your phone or like whatever.
Yeah,
you're
like
just
hanging out.
I still do that. You're just like, you think of something, you could direct message it to the person, or and if you're chatting with that person too during the thing. Like, I'll switch it to Facebook Messenger, depending on what we're talking about, because it's really easy to accidentally send the message to the entire show. I've seen that happen more than once. We're like, you didn't want everyone to hear that.
But
throw each other tags, like, oh, if you think of this, that, and especially when you become friends with people, like, then you're open to that. You're just like, you're working together. It's like, how, we can level up faster if we...
Oh yeah, definitely. Just like at the mics, you're always trying to give each other tags and like, hey, I like this part, or you should work on that part, or whatever.
Yeah, like I did a brand new set tonight, and then I got off stage and
all new jokes,
100% new.
Oh man, how'd that go?
We had a good audience. It went pretty damn good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch the video. I'm gonna watch the video and be like, oh fuck, yeah, this is 100%. Like, this is a thing that I need to talk about. I've been thinking about it. It's some jokes about losing weight and just kind of how. So I've lost weight last year, and I talk about some stuff. And the core of it is when I go to a bar and I like order a drink, I would be like, I want whiskey, and then I'd be like, well, like I might get like a whiskey coke, or used to drink like gin and tonics or whatever, so I'm a badass. And then and then I was like, well, shit, can I get a whiskey and diet coke? Because they're like, okay, sure. Then I went back and they're like, you want another? I'm like, yeah. They're like, yeah, you want another whiskey diet? I'm like, I'm on the whiskey diet. That's fucking awesome. What did you just say? Give me a double. I'm feeling healthy. And then like some other just fun stuff about weight loss stuff and things. I'm like, oh, this is kind of a relatable thing, and it worked. I think it'll turn into something fun, and I'm excited. But when you do a first new thing,
January is a good time to bust out some weight loss material.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Mind. They're trying to do better, be healthier.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's not healthy here. I'm just not eating carbs. I'm eating piles of fucking greasy meat and drinking different stuff. But still, all that and changing and stuff. That was fun. Yeah,
well, another thing that I wanted to circle back to, you mentioned that group Displaced Comedians.
Yes,
that has a giant following on it. And did you start that during the pandemic?
Yeah. I started it, I think it was April 18th, 2020 was when I made the post on my personal Facebook. Or the 12th, 18th, it said, I'm thinking of starting a group, or I'm gonna start a group. I remember exact words, where we can like connect and like know where all the Zooms are at.
Oh, okay. So that was the initial goal of that group, was for comics looking for Zoom mics to get together.
Oh, that's funny because you weren't in it. That was 100% the goal.
I didn't even do comedy in 2020.
Yeah, that's weird. It's interesting to think. What did you think the purpose of it was?
Kind of like a lot of other Facebook groups, like we have the Boise comedy fans, or there's like Portland comedy fans. I thought it was something similar to that, where it's just like a collective of comics, but instead of narrowing it down to one scene.
Yeah.
It was just like, whoever's a comedian that wants to get in here and share each other's stuff and find out about shows, this is
That's
where you
awesome.
go. And then you got people from all different states.
Yeah.
So that's where I got the idea, is that it was just like a bigger version of a local scene.
I love that because
You know?
that's what it's become, and that's kind of was like he obviously knew the pandemic was at some point gonna be like knock on fucking everything. Like,
yeah, they're gonna let us out again.
I joke about like how just like, well, we're really prepared for the next one. We know what to do the next time we have this shit again.
Hopefully, man.
But yeah, so that's what it was. So this is because I would join the different scenes, like you said, different scenes have their Facebook groups. You just have to know which ones. And there was this website also called Bad Slava that I used to use, where this dude would put like, I went to this mic and I ate this burger and I talked to this, like very detailed stuff.
Yeah, kind of like a Yelp, but just for comedy mics.
Yeah, but very honest too. Like nothing was just glowing just because whatever. Nothing was super. It was just like, this is what happened.
Yeah,
and this is what I would, So I would use that as a framework, but then I'd also find the scenes page because I knew that wasn't going to always be up to date. So I want to say, like, okay, I think these are the ones to go to, but where should I go? And since I was traveling for work, I would go to these different scenes. Portland, the Northwest group, which is mostly Washington, and then some group areas in California. And then I was noticing that just multiple groups had usually a scene would have like one person that's like, let's do a Zoom, guys. Let's do a Zoom, and everyone's like, you're a lunatic. And then some scenes gravitated to it more. Some scenes didn't really use it. I generally, like, some people are like, oh, I feel bad. I don't, like almost like I feel bad if somebody didn't do it. I don't give a fuck if you, some people are just like, I just didn't want to do it. I'm like, fine, don't do it. It's like fucking tattoo. Like,
you don't have
do it if you want to do it. I'm not offended. I know it's lunacy, but it was a thing, and it's still a thing. So I was like, different mics in different areas, but I'm like, someone's got to organize it. We got to have a place. And it can't just be a website that's going to be stagnant and like you're not going to have any. It has to be community, has to be connection. So then I saw like there's like 4 or 5 a week, and like who's going to track all these? And it turned out to be like hundreds of them eventually. And then I went, and I told this comedian Rachel Rothenberg who ran the first Zoom like I did. She was out of Salt Lake City, Utah at the time. A comedian I knew in Tacoma, Carol Freeman, who knows in Arizona. She's dope. She was on Rachel's mic. And I was like, I saw her post about it on Facebook. Like, I'm just going to watch and just see what this is like. Yeah. And I watched a bunch of lunatics, like we all
trying out the Zoom
talking
mics.
For 5 minutes. And it was a neat experience. And I'm like, all right, this is how I can I've got this in. It's going to go somewhere. This is where it's going to go. What angle of my garage do I not mind seeing, the people seeing? Because I didn't have a webcam at the time, so the webcam built in my laptop was so shitty. Like, no good sound. And when I did one, I was like, well, that wasn't the greatest thing I've ever done, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to figure out how to get better and I'm going to use this time to do that. And then I ended up being like, hey, talking to Rachel, we were messaging on Facebook, and because she was running that group, like she had a Facebook group for her mic, and I was like, someone's got to put everything together. And she mentioned like maybe thinking about doing it, and then I was like, if you're cool, like I didn't want to take something that she was going to do away like the next day, but I'm like, basically, I'm going to do it by this weekend. I'm going to fucking do this.
Yeah, you're like...
And then later, I talked to her, and she's like, yeah, I'm glad you did it, and I didn't. So I'm like, I didn't feel like... I felt better like I didn't take something away, because she saw the insanity that I dealt with on there, because we got all these... So I started a Facebook group, and then all of a sudden, like, hundreds of people were like, that's insane. And now to this day, there's about 10,200 people in it, Facebook accounts on it. Man. And it just started from just... I had one long post on the Facebook post on, like, 'cause I wanted you to be in the group to have the information, not to withhold it, but just because I wanted to build community. But then when I was updating this long list and just typing all this shit out, it was like Facebook took too long to do. I'm like, fuck it, do Google Sheets, share this with anybody.
Once it grows that big to 10,000 people, you're like, I need some moderators.
Yeah.
I
I went through that, and honestly, I'm still the only one person.
Really? For 10,000 people?
Yeah, that's why the pages were.
And they're all crazy comics, too.
Yeah, so I had this realization. I had times where I like put different people in places, admins and everything, and nothing negative towards them, but I was just not a good boss in that format.
Yeah.
Because I had my vision of what I saw needed to be what it was, and if other people didn't feel that way, They had a hard time changing my mind. Some people call that stubborn. Some people call that's just who I am and what I'm doing. And I had a vision.
I can understand that, though, having a vision for him. You started out with, like you were saying, a webcam that didn't even work that good, and just a vague idea of, like, this is how I want to do it, and then you grew it to 10,000 people all over, and, you know, it's kind of your baby. You don't want somebody like, hey, I spank kids. You're like, you know.
Yeah, and it was wild because there were people on there. So because of the nature of the setup, a lot of people who, every demographic, every gender, every range of everything was there at once in an insane time, and a lot of them had never done comedy before, and this is where they started it, and they're just like, let's connect and
a lot of people started doing it.
A lot of people started on Zoom, or they were brand new. So like that was a lot. We did get some people who've been doing it for quite a while, but for the most part, that's most of the group, and I've been trying to guide the group and keep the people that are like the tenured. I want to keep everyone there who wants to be in who's not being a jerk. But there's people that I'm just like, fuck, I hope I don't lose this person because they give such good advice. But I can see them just being like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Yeah. We just don't deserve him anymore. I actually had one comic who I messaged. It was Dan Bublitz Jr.
Okay.
He was. I was like, hey man, I totally get why you left. I'm just sorry that we lost you. I appreciate you. And he's like, I'm still in under this other account. I'm like, I should have asked him. But he's like, thank you for caring so much. Because I care a lot. And he's just like, but he was like, he runs, he does Art of Bombing podcast. This is his jam. Yeah. He's in Colorado now, and he's a good dude, funny guy. And
I heard Colorado has a banging scene. I've met a couple of Colorado comics that came through Boise before, but I've never
There's a lot, dude. I went to open mic there, a 3-hour open mic. I went up almost last. It was. I think I'm glad I did it, but I was like, but that was one open mic as a fucking new guy coming in. I didn't do shows and shit. But from what I gathered of that there's a ton of fucking comedians and a ton of stuff going on there, so it's cool.
Yeah, was that in Denver?
Yeah, that was in Denver that I went to.
That's where my wife was born, Denver.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we'll probably make a trip out there if not this year, then next year. So
you should. If
maybe I'll do some comedy.
I was going to say, if you think of it, hit me up. I'll message you whoever I would ask, at that time. And also,
definitely.
One thing I like in the group is, especially if you've been in it for a while, you can go anywhere, and know someone knows someone knows someone knows somebody.
Yeah.
To get on something. So like I know that like if someone's like, hey, like people message me, hey Nikko, I'm going to this state. Who should I talk to? And I'm like, well, these are the people I'd hit. I don't know if they're producing anything. And some are like, oh, these are people are producing stuff. Definitely hit them. Send them your tape. Blah 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 blah.
Okay.
And just we have all that connection now. And
how do you keep all that organized? Just from knowing people in your head?
Yeah. So sometimes I brain fart a second.
Arizona folks. And
honestly, that's what it is. And I've tried and thought like I'll make a spreadsheet of that too, but I'm just not gonna. It's just so much fucking work.
Yeah.
Like making the spreadsheet for the group was insane because I was like I knew what information I wanted to be shared. Like was important to me was like. If there's a name of the mic and whatever, that's neat. Mm-hmm. Who's usually hosting it, where they're based, and some people goof like, oh, it doesn't matter where you're based. Well, it kind of does because now what scene you're kind of hooked to because a lot of those people are in a scene and a lot of them, their names of their mics were based on live comedy shows, which is cool to see now because now I see the post and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even know. You don't even know the history about it.
Yeah, you didn't know that was a live show that then switched to Zoom and then is now back live again.
That's a lot of them started on Zoom, but a lot of them were like, oh shit, this was a thing, which makes sense because some of the names were just insane, which are great. It's just fun and creative.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? This is nuts. And then like, oh shit, this was a live thing. Like a lot of people in California took it. Like a lot of Bay Area comics went on to Zoom pretty strong.
Mm-hmm. Because California was pretty locked down during the pandemic.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Flappers did a lot of stuff out of Burbank. I hosted their Zoom mic, one of the Zoom mics for a while.
That's pretty cool.
Paid anything, but it was fun and neat and. I got and actually ended up quitting doing that because I started doing live comedy in Boise, and I was like, Thursday night open mic, Boise, or sit on Zoom. No offense, flappers, but come on.
Well, a lot of people listening, I mean, most of my listeners are based in Boise, but the people who don't know and don't follow the local comedy scene, the Thursday night mics here are like a paid show. They're crazy.
That's where I came from tonight.
30 comedians tonight, you were saying, and we had a lot of times packed house.
Yeah, dude, it was standing room only, and they were hot, and we fucking brought it. and everybody had a really good time, and hopefully they're going to come out. And while we were there, and LJ Sullivan was hosting, he was promoting the Comic of the Year competition this weekend. While we were there, he said. He announced that like somebody had bought tickets like during the show.
Yeah, there you go.
He was promoting him the whole time. That was pretty cool. And
yeah, that's exciting. Well, big shout out to Blue City Comedy for supporting the local artists and for keeping that Thursday mic going and rolling. You know, with all the different ups and downs the scene's had. They always have a different host, and they have switch to the online sign-ups because there's so many people coming in. They just make it accessible to everyone, make sure that people are getting rotated time, so it's not like the host is going to choose each week who's going. It's more of like who went last week, who's new to town, that kind of stuff. That's pretty sweet.
Haley Lenhart-Weiss is the shit.
And I'm going to have her on the podcast for the first time coming up. I just talked to her about it today.
Nice, dude.
It's probably... Stay tuned. She might be the first week of February. We haven't locked it down yet when she's going to record it, but I think that's when I'm going to release it. So
awesome.
Big shout out to her. I didn't do comedy when Liquid was around because that was pre-pandemic and all that stuff. But ever since I entered the comedy scene, that's the biggest supporter of Boise comedy is Haley and Blue City Comedy. So big shout out to them. Another thing with like the internet thing is, have you received like much pushback from doing all the Zoom mics and having your reach broaden as far as like the internet goes? Because I know
like people giving me shit for doing Zoom.
Well, just in general from any of the like building your social media audience, building your groups, doing the Zooms and stuff. Because like I don't have anything near 10,000 on any of my stuff, and I get pushback sometimes from people being like for instance, I had another comedian comment before, like, I had Bert Kreischer liked one of my comment things, and then I, like, posted a screenshot of that because I'm super proud of it. I fucking love that guy, so I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to post this on my thing, and somebody had posted, like, the internet bleeding into reality, some shit, you know, which was like, it wasn't necessarily negative, but it was definitely backhanded. Then I've heard people, like, say some stuff about like, some people will put like any videos up to try to gain a following, and I take that personally because I'm fucking always putting videos up that are not related to comedy just to try to broaden my audience and connect to people. And so I was wondering, I haven't talked to many other people that have grown big,
like
as
how
far
much
as
negative stuff.
Well, if you ever have had like instances where people give you any type of pushback where they're like, the internet shouldn't be the main source of your like
comedy and
networking and stuff like that, which to me is ludicrous.
Yeah, that's
it's fucking 2023. Everyone's on the internet all day, every day.
Where they sit there with their fucking Rolodex and fucking telegrams and shit, and
I think part of it is probably people that like aren't that good at it, being like, if this was only an in-person thing, I would be doing better than that person. When it's like, it's 2023. In 2003, people were already on the internet all the time. You should probably fucking after 20 years get with the program.
I didn't get so much that just because I now do post a lot more promotional stuff for myself, but like I just don't give a fuck about anybody like that. Why? Like they just that sucks because like that's something that you care about and you're doing. So that's gotta
But the internet always has negative comments. But I meant, did you ever have anybody that kind of like slide at you?
Not
like
really.
You're putting in a lot of work on the internet type of thing, where it's like, I also put in a ton of work in person. I'm just also doing all this work at home that you seem to be upset about.
I've been fortunate. I don't think I've got really pushback like you're doing something wrong. I've gotten people like Zoom stupid and it's dumb shit. And then I've gotten arguments that are in hindsight were stupid because like I'm not going to win an argument. And I don't care if you like Zoom. But when somebody would say things like they're all shit, that struck a chord with me because I'm like, this is not true. Like you did one Zoom, you watched one YouTube clip, you don't know how this all is. Does it matter that you're wrong? Probably not. But
it's something that you care about. So
but I was like, and we went back and forth a little bit, but that was it. Like I just I'm just gonna do my shit, and if someone doesn't want to, because people a lot like I'll meet people. And we'll talk about stuff. It'll come up that I do a lot of Zoom stuff, and they'll almost like, I think I touched on a little bit earlier. It's like they'll feel like kind of guilty,
Yeah.
It's like, it's like when I tell someone like, oh, I'm not eating carbs just because I'm communicating, and they're like, I probably shouldn't eat this bread. I'm like, no, eat your fucking bread. I don't give a shit, man.
I get out drinking all the time.
Like,
I haven't drank for 5 years, and people will be like, taking a drink and be like, oh, I'm sorry, or like bring beers over. I'm like, if I cared about that, why would I be at bars every night doing comedy?
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? Like, you live your life, I'll live mine. We're not like.
I mean, I get it and appreciate it because on the other hand, I probably would do the same thing, but just not really thinking about it. But that's not logical. But not really. I don't really like pushback and stuff. Some people shit on Zoom. When people get in the group on Displaced, I don't really have any real set rules other than I made some rules about bringer shows.
Yeah.
Just if you're gonna post about it, you got to be super honest about all of it. And then
which is probably how it should be, because a lot of people are just trying to get people to bring a bunch of people to buy bar tabs but
the funny thing about that is like I'm kind of trying to weed you out because I know you're not going to be honest about it all, but I'm also giving you the opportunity. I'm saying, look, here's the opportunity. Tell us how great your shows are and all the celebrities that are going to be on the shows and these great things that are going to happen. Promote your shit. But then they just get pissy about it. So like, other than that, it's basically like I try to get people just to not be mean to each other and to keep it about comedy mostly.
Yeah.
We're still humans, and people message me like, hey, so-and-so's going through hard times, or like, hey, I'm doing this contest on this thing, if someone clicks my thing and you've been in the community for a while, sure, I don't fucking care, just do whatever.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, people have been, pretty good. Every once in a while there's been someone who's been like, someone's like, oh, someone harassed somebody and so on the Zoom. Like, fuck, now I gotta dig through 7 layers of people who weren't even there to figure out what happened and address it and shit. It's a little negativity on that. People just shit on the group sometimes in there. That's all you're there for. You can just leave. The internet's a big place. I'm like, well, I'll help you with that.
It's a huge place.
I usually try to get them to quit because like that's just more like I didn't fuck because I don't want to make you a martyr. It sounds like martyr sounds heavy with Zoom or Facebook group, but still, someone could be like, oh, I got kicked out because they can't handle me. I'm like, no, you're just a piece of shit. And that's
I think most people see through that kind of stuff anyway. And then like a lot of the like hate towards people like gaining notoriety on the internet and stuff is just people that aren't doing that.
Yeah.
So you can see right through that too, where they're like, either I don't fully understand this, so I don't respect it, or I'm not putting in the work, so I'm going to be somewhat jealous. You know what I mean? And that's always a thing. Like when people get big opportunities, people get jealous. And I know you recently had a big opportunity at the Idaho Center.
Yeah.
And I haven't had an opportunity to ask you about it, but when Jack Wheeler had that opportunity to open for Burt, it also came kind of spur of the moment.
Yeah.
And he got pushback from it for sure, from different people saying, like, hey, you've been in comedy 1 year and all this stuff. And it's like, any opportunity you get, you're going to take. Anybody would have done that same thing, and it was a huge opportunity.
You know what you say? Good job. You say good job, buddy.
Congratulations, you'd be happy for
when I found out about
that. So that's why I was kind of asking. I know you had probably the biggest opportunity you've had yet.
So I'm kind of oblivious to some of those comments sometimes when they happen because I just don't really give a fuck. Because I get in front of it too. Like, look, I know that I got this out of dumb luck, persistence, which I am proud of, has nothing to do with being good at comedy.
Well, but I think it has a lot to do with being good at selling yourself and networking.
Sure,
which is definitely how you grew the group and how you succeed with the Zoom mics and all that stuff. And people kind of count that out.
Yeah.
I feel like anyway.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to grow in different ways, not just getting up at open mics and getting up at shows. There's a whole nother dynamic to it.
That bums me out too. They don't even be shitty to Jack. I remember when I found out about that. It was the next morning. I was at the airport flying to a trade show for breweries for my day job, and it was like 5 of them. It was something. It was dark, and I was tired as fuck. And I'd seen my phone, and I'm seeing people post. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I'm blowing him up.
For
I was flipping out. I'm like, I want to tell everybody here, but like everyone's just tired, and I forget if that was a mask time or not, but it was just like all weird. I'm like, fuck, it's funny because I went to this big trade show. I'm meeting people. I'm like, and I try to work in the conversation because I'm just excited.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, my buddy Jack, he like pretty new at comedy. He got to do Burt Kreischer. I must have talked to just like the 5 most boring people in the world because they're all like, I don't know who Bert Kreischer is. I'm like, you fucker!
Dude, I'm so shocked that so many people I talk to are like, I don't know who this
guy
is.
Yeah, it's insane.
I'm
he's huge.
Like, well, even he's huge outside of comedy.
Yeah.
Too. He's been in tons of TV stuff.
Yeah.
Like, now he's got a movie coming out.
Yeah. But I lost my shit, man, for him. I was just like, I was riding that. You know? I felt like it was a win for everybody. And so happy for win for him. He's funny, he's hardworking, and he's nice.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're nice, people are a little nicer. I actually had one buddy message me in a different about the Bill stuff. He messaged me before, like when I was posting about it happening, and he's like, "Dude, if you were an asshole, I would hate you so much right now. But you're fucking, I actually like you, and you're nice."
That's a funny comment.
So I'm like, so he's like, I'm in a group chat with other comics in another scene, and we're talking about it, and we're like, if so and so got that, we'd be like, no, it's about that motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, let's.
Oh, like thanks.
We know what we're talking about.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Sure,
yeah, let's get into the big opportunity you had.
So late Saturday Night Mike in that also happens at Blue City Comedy at Matsu's Beer Hall downtown Boise. Haley was hosting late in May, and she was bringing up Nate Ford, great comic, great dude, doing comedy for 22 years.
He's a legend in the scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he's a mentor here, and he's very
definitely
kind and helpful and just a great guy.
And he's nice to people their first night to do comedy, and then continually supportive throughout it.
Absolutely. You know? And so she was bringing him up, announcing him, and she was saying that everybody should go tweet at Bill Burr to have Nate open for him. So like, because this was Bill was going to be on December 8th. And they're like, "Hey, tweet it," and I'm like, and I'd like never really tweeted more than like 5 or 6 times ever. Mm-hmm. And then like a few days later, I was like, I want to check Twitter and be like, who did that? Nobody fucking did it.
Oh wow!
I'm like, you crazy? I'm like now it's more logical just because I understand a little more how brains and shit work. I'm thinking about it like it's a thing that I don't know what happened with that, but anyway, I just went that was stupid, brains and working.
Well, I just think a lot of people wouldn't have the gall to do that for themselves.
Yeah.
So then they kind of talk themselves out of doing it for someone else too.
I guess I'm kind of oblivious to those things, which is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
For sure. Yeah.
So I just tweeted at him, and I go, and I'm just hanging out home with my wife one evening, and I'm just like, I want to check it in. Yeah, and then I just tweeted, I just wrote like, Bill Burr, or Nate Ford would be great to open for you when you come to Boise. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And then I go look again because I don't even have like notifications on my phone
for Twitter.
For Twitter, I'm just going back a couple of hours later, and it says, and it's Bill Burr just replied, I heard he's a self-promoting cunt. Which there's like a credit right there.
Yeah.
It'll be like, next comedian was called Self-Promoting Cunt by Bill Burr.
Yeah.
And then
just that he
replied. That's insane.
That's wild.
And then I was like, holy shit, this is nuts. And then I replied like, I was like, yeah, he makes all his fucking friends do it or some shit, just being a dick.
Yeah.
But
then kind of mentioning how like he wasn't self-promoting in that instance because you were shooting the tweet off.
Yeah.
Him,
Exactly. And then then he replied and just very succinctly, I'll give you 5 up top. Which non-comedians listening means 5 minutes on being in the show. And then I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. I was so excited. I was like ready to buy a ticket to a show I wasn't going to buy a ticket for. I love Bill Burr, but I'm like,
$150.
Yeah. I'm like, all right. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to go see my buddy open. I wanted him to let me backstage to like hang out too. I didn't initially with Bill to watch the show and to see my friend do his thing. Obviously, great to meet Bill. I wasn't expecting that or anticipating that at all. But then I also see that as a little bit of an opportunity.
Yeah,
because when you reply on Twitter, it has every handle of the person. So I that I DM'd Bill Burr and was like, first of all, thanks. That's amazing, making a dream come true. Just to clarify, you including like, are you both of us? Because I didn't know if you knew I was a comic. Also, that's exclusive. But I knew I was also just kind of
because it's just Twitter. I mean, he could be Nate's manager for all he knows.
Right? You hear that name? and then I just asked for myself too. It's like, hey, he's including me. And then 9 days later, he replied. 9 days of checking my Twitter every couple of days, probably more often than that. I don't remember. I'm just like, all right. Then he goes, I'll put both you bums up. No period. Letter U. I like just. That's one little thing I love about the better the comedian, the shorter the shit. Yeah. Which that's how you know I'm I'm all right, but I write long shit.
Well, you think though, like how valuable those people's time.
Oh
are,
yeah,
you know
that
what I mean?
too.
If they're doing those arenas and all this other stuff, and like Bill Burr has more than one podcast. At the time, I think he had the Bill Burr one going on too, and like for them to be on Twitter. At all is like, wow, like you're actually on this.
Yeah,
I mean,
I told some people
have
this.
Someone else doing
exactly. I've had other people
level,
telling me
you know?
who were like, "Did he even run?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did." And I just mean it like it was just beautiful how quickly I just love that communication. I just love his ability to just be like, "Dude, that's what I'm trying to say. That's it." And then I was like, "Both these bums appreciate it. Thanks." And then like I posted about this. I don't remember the exact timeline, but like it was like months, and I was like checking in. I was like, "Hey, so what's?" So I had also posted about it. I posted on Instagram and I tagged the Idaho Center.
Yeah.
And they DM'd me and they're like, "Who told you you're on the show?" I'm like, "Oh." I don't want to fuck it up for, like, the biggest thing is I didn't want to fuck it up for Nate because he's the first person who's part of it. And if I fuck something up for myself, that sucks. And if you fuck something up for somebody else.
Well, it's something that big, too.
Yeah.
I mean.
And Nate's the kind of guy that has the chops and everything to travel and you know, because the dream obviously would be, you know, it'd be amazing if he was like, "Hey, now come feature for me," or whatever the fuck.
Oh, yeah.
He could do that, and I know that at the time, probably now I'm not in that position to I just like I didn't want to fuck something up for somebody else. And then your
intention in the first place was to be like, let me try to help make his fucking dream come true. He's been working on it 20 years, you know.
And I didn't even. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking exactly, other than like someone should do this, so I just fucking did it.
Yeah, well, it's the easiest thing too.
Yeah,
like, I'm always trying to like tag people and share things with people, and like there's a few people, comedian friends and podcaster friends that they're all doing different stuff on the internet, and if I see them on my feed, it's a like every time, even if it's like not necessarily something I'm into, because I know, hey. All it takes is the click for me to help you out.
That is supporting.
I'm going to do it every time.
Which is insane.
You know?
Absolutely. And so we tweeted back and forth, and it was like, I was like, check it in. I was like, "Hey, do we need to do anything? Here's our names." Like trying to be like, what info would he maybe need? And then he's like, "They'll have your names at this." Like months later, he's like, "They'll have your names at the stage door. I'll send you my tour manager's email." Then I'm like, "All right, now it's really happening." And I was posting about it here, and then I'm like, I'm gonna like I will never live it down, and I wouldn't let anyone else live it down to talk about it this much and somehow not get to do it.
Yeah.
How this would be a different podcast where I'm just sitting here crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. You laughing at me?
It would be crazy.
Purposefully. Like I'd be like, "You're right to laugh at me."
Yeah. If it turns out to be some like fake account.
Yeah.
Or
just that'd be horrible. I would never let anyone. And like, I would expect no one to not just roast me about it. So still like, he's like sending the info. He's like, "I'm sending it from like, this is great." I'm like, "Nate, he told me this. I'll let you know when he sends it." I'm super stoked, posting about it, we're talking about it. We're like, all right. I'm trying not to be all braggy about it, but also it's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, you should be.
I want people to know about this, and I didn't post about it in Displaced Comedians until it was locked. Till it was like, because I was like, there's 10,200 people in here. There's at least probably one of them that will like something negative to happen to me.
Yeah.
And
there's always that.
Can you message somebody and fuck something up for me? I have no idea. But I'm just not going to find out until like it was...
It's set in stone and you're doing the show.
Yeah, so we go back and forth, and then I didn't get... he never sent that information. Then I was like proactive. I'm like, so here's my email. In case it's helpful.
Yeah.
I just want to, check in, because at this point he's telling me he's going to do something, then did it, which I'm not faulting for at all, but I'm just like, I'm trying to not sound like the asshole, like, come on, buddy. I don't want to be like that, but at the same time, I don't know what the fuck's happening. And then 9 days before the show.
Oh, wow.
Email from the tour manager. Here's the information, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he didn't even give me the information of where to go yet. He's just like, "I heard you're doing 5 minutes on this, send me your time, send me your like address and info, like, I don't know, maybe run a background check." I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah.
And then,
actually, I didn't even think about that. I mean,
I thought this too. Like,
how does he not know that it's two lunatics that like are going to do
this? This is how I think about it. Is Bill? I think could recover from anything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I could have.
We've all seen that famous Philadelphia rant.
Yeah, right. Two fucking boneheads in Boise isn't going to phase that motherfucker, right? if anyone's watching this and hasn't seen that, you should go check it out.
Yeah, Google Bill Burr Philadelphia rant for sure.
It's fucking 12 minutes, I believe. It's 7 minutes and 2 seconds or whatever. It's fucking
just
gold.
shitting on the whole city in the city.
They loved it. He won them back, and so got the email to do that, and then the guy's like, hey, 1 to 2 days before the show, I'll send you like the details, like where to park and when to get there and that kind of shit. Fucking like 4 hours before the show, we get the email of that.
Oh wow!
Like, oof.
So it's like right down
and it wasn't
to the
even
wire.
the time to get to the show because I took that day off work. I have my mic in my mic stand in my living room, just pacing. Like my wife's at work, my kids are at school. I'm just like. Like I was so scared that I was gonna like just fuck up words or like what if I just go on stage and drop the mic on
The
accident?
stupidest thing.
Anything.
Yeah, all your fears are like in front of you.
All that. I'm just just trying not to have a heart attack. And then and I had scheduled Chris and Wendy from Ventures
Toast Marshmallows
from
Ventures,
yeah, podcast.
Now they also do that Uber Spicy,
exactly.
Uber Funny.
So I booked Uber a couple months prior. I booked the Uber Funny just to drive you to a show or whatever.
Yeah.
To be like, we'll figure out where we're gonna pick up from, but I think it'd be fun. Let's do a podcast on the way to the venue.
Yeah.
So
sweet.
we did that to get there an hour and a half before the show, but we got an email like a couple hours before the show because Nate had replied to the guy after we got all the information of where to go. He's like, "We're planning to be here around this time. Unless we're supposed to be a different time." And then the guy's like, I'll be there at least by this time, like half an hour before the show." I'm like, "Are you crazy? We're definitely going to be there earlier." So we got there like an hour and a half before the show, and we go in the front door. Or the side, whatever, where the door told us to go to, and it said like go in, and there'll be someone there who like will get you to the backstage thing.
Yeah.
We go up, and we're like, hey, we're here for that thing. They're like, what? No idea who we were.
That you were there so early, or
they just didn't know anything about it.
Oh, okay.
So it was just, and it was funny. It was just not the right person who was gonna. And then they got us the right person eventually, and we got to the right person who took us through this through the halls of a place that fucking does rodeos and shit.
Yeah.
And like took us past the
typical
room.
Idaho amphitheater shit.
And just kind of like it felt like the hall felt like kind of like a wide high school kind of hall. Like it wasn't like in the movies where you have like little doors with a star on them and like a makeup thing or whatever. Like
yeah.
Because also, there's people doing like big, physical events. So like our dressing room was like a big room with a big bathroom with showers and shit, and a bunch of sinks, and
oh wow,
and there's catering. The lady's like, well, catering is pretty good this time. I'm like, okay, cool. I've never had it at a show like or at all before like this, and it's pretty. dope.
We're used to like maybe some cookies.
Yeah, right.
If we're lucky, and they're like, what do you want to drink?
Yeah.
What's your order?
Maybe a drink or
stuff.
two. Maybe like $10 at the bar or some shit. And so we ate some. I thought I wouldn't have an appetite just because I was but I was not a problem. We ate some food, went into a room. We were just making stupid little clips and just pacing back and forth and shit. And then it got close to the show. It was at 8:00 was the show time, and we're like, well, are they gonna be waiting for us? Like, how do we know where to go, when to go to the stage? Because we went through this undergroundish tunnely kind of thing. We didn't go down, but it was underneath the stadium seating, and we're like, fuck, should we go to the thing 10 minutes before the show, 15 minutes? We'd start walking towards it through that. Then as we're walking through, the guy who we had been introduced to when we first got there, who went over okay, you're gonna take a microphone and we're gonna trade off microphones and introduce each other and shit. He was walking the opposite direction. He's kind of where you guys going? And we're like, he's like, yeah, they're not even here yet. Let's go back. They're like, okay. Try to just act normal. So we just went back to our rooms and they'll come get you.
Yeah.
So
and then you had a little bit of confidence that they would come get you because you already talked to the guy.
Because wouldn't it suck if they're like, well, I guess we started, we just heard the show going and we just missed it. One, if we missed it, that would suck. And two, if it fucked anything up because they were planning something and holy shit, we fucked this up.
Yeah, imagine all those people in their seats and they go, Niko Lukoff, and no one comes out.
Yeah. No one would give a shit.
Oh, shit.
They'd be like, oh great, now we get the paid professionals first, but
the crowd might not notice as much, but that'd be devastating for sure.
So, but then we go wait, and then the guy who we were emailing the last week or so came in and got us and said, hey, we're gonna start the show at 8:30. And he's like, is that okay? We're like, yeah, okay. You're super cool.
You're gonna be pissed? No, dude, it's got to be 8:15. Or I gotta go.
I said I got an open mic and It was Thursday night. I'm gonna be up on the list in a little bit. I double booked this motherfucker.
Oh shit.
So then he's like, hey, you guys want to meet Bill? We're like, yeah, I guess so. And then we're like,
you met him before the show?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So we didn't really see him after the show. So before the show, he brought back to his dressing room, and his door's open. We're going in, and it's exactly like almost the words that I had. If I could have written a script, like this is what I had in my head already. Because he went, these the locals. It's like a shitty, weird, Al Pacino fucking shitty impression. Jeez, I'm fucking tired.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, these locals. Yeah, and he's like, you guys bugging me on Twitter. I'm just like, and I was like, that was me. Nice to meet you.
I'm totally imagining Bill Burr's voice when you're telling
and it's exactly everything you're picturing, and he's exactly the person you wished he was, and he's very nice, and he's very cool, and he was just so... He's a comedian. Just want to talk about comedy with comedians.
Yeah, and one, it speaks volumes to his character that he did this, for local comics.
Yeah, he didn't have to fucking put us up.
He didn't know you guys from anyone.
No,
just the Twitter thing. And
he could have just had.
Amazing.
He knew he could have had a solid show with his feature Dean Del Rey, who we then met and shook hands and stuff. And
yeah, Dean Del Rey's a savage too.
That's awesome. So I didn't. Now I'm following him. I didn't. So a lot of people knew who he was, and I just didn't. And now I'm like. And he was fucking hilarious and just cool and nice, and
yeah, his crowd work's out of control.
Awesome.
I've seen a bunch of his.
I need to watch that. Didn't do a lot of crowd work there, but I need to check that out. I need to watch all the stuff. It's just funny. It's fucking cool.
Yeah, well, there's so many amazing comedians.
Yeah, right.
That, like, it's always a treat when you get introduced to like someone that big up, and you're like, man, now I got a whole bunch of specials to watch.
Yeah. It's like when you find a new season of a show, you're like, oh fuck, that show's over, and like, no, now I get to watch more.
Yeah, or if they announce they're like right before your favorite show's ending, they're like, we're bringing this back as like a spinoff or something. You're like, yeah,
Better Call Saul, motherfuckers.
Oh yeah.
So then we were hanging out talking. He's like, you guys want to sit down? And it's funny. So he had his sofa like about this size.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a love seat, and Nate and I are like, we sat on the love seat. We're like, I don't know what to do. So I'm sitting like this. There's a longer seat that way, so it would have been he's right here, and there's like a love seat right here, and I'm right here, Nate's right here. We're just talking, and he's like, so tell me about the local comedy scene. And it's great because I only know the last year-ish of it. So Nate gave the history of it, the clubs and all that kind of stuff. So we had some good history of it. He's like, oh, cool. Didn't you have this thing and then this thing? And he talked about triple runs. It used to be a run that would be a bunch of comics who'd earn their shit, driving really far between things to do comedy in the Northwest. And he had touched on that. And then he had a menu for the Yard House for dinner. And he was kind of... It wasn't like in a diva way, but he was hoping to have a buffalo burger or a buffalo steak. He's like, there's no fucking buffalo steaks. I'm like, sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, you're like, it seems Idaho because Yellowstone and all that, but
then
there's maybe a couple places.
But it was just fun. The reason I like that is just because it's just a human moment.
Oh yeah.
Any level of fame, any level of stuff, you're gonna try to order some food, and it's either gonna be there or not. Yeah. It's like, hey, you guys on Waters? We're hanging out, we're talking. And they're talking about how long they've been doing comedy for, and like I was like, I've been doing it for a little over 3 years. Nate's like 22, and Bill's like, 33. Just like we're just people just sitting around talking about comedy.
Yeah.
And then he's this is kind of funny. He goes, so I made this movie for Miramax. I was acting in it, and I wrote it. And then there's like no fucking directors because of COVID and all this stuff, so they wanted me to direct it. And he's like, I gotta do fucking everything or whatever. And it was in a loving, fun way that I later realized that was his way of being like, hey guys, I made a movie. Like,
yeah.
And I didn't know how to respond at the time.
Like so nervous.
I was just like, yeah, cool. Well, because then. Yeah, so he some more stuff in the show that I don't like give away or whatever, but like show wise, but like he's got a movie coming out that's gonna be fucking dope.
Oh yeah,
it's called Old Dads.
Oh, nice! I can't wait for that.
It basically seems like fucking Bill Burr being Bill Burr, and just with kids and just funny shit and dealing with being a dad and everything. It's gonna be really funny.
Oh yeah, I love seeing his transition into acting with like the Mandalorian and stuff, because I always knew him as a comic.
Yeah,
and then seeing him get more and more acting stuff, and I've heard him talk about how that's like a new passion of his on different podcasts and stuff, and it's like, yeah, dude, I can't wait to see that. I've noticed. A lot of comics doing more and more acting, and then like you start to notice smaller roles that are filled by comedians that you never like would have noticed before. Like I've seen Fortune Feimster in like 3 different movies.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, I didn't know that she was doing like all this acting and stuff. And like I forget what movie it was, but I was watching a movie the other night, and she's like the Uber driver.
Oh no shit.
And I think it was like it was a holiday party. It was like a Christmas movie or something,
cool.
you know. And I was like, oh, I didn't know she was in this or whatever. And then unless you like IMDb people, you never realize like how much acting they're doing to like build up to a point where they get to like Bill Burr doing his own movie.
Yeah, I was watching a show, Reservation Dogs, not Reservation Dogs.
Yeah,
and it was a great show, and like he was in a couple episodes as a driving instructor. I had no fucking idea. I'm like, holy shit. That's Bill Burr.
Well, and then a lot of those awesome voiceover stuff, like the cartoons.
And he's got the F is for family.
Yeah. Well, and then like I just found out, I didn't even realize this, which I don't know how. I didn't realize it after seeing the movie a bunch of times with my kids. Yeah. But that movie Wreck-It Ralph, the main girl character in that is Sarah Silverman.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize that ever of watching it until somebody was like, oh, yeah, and Sarah Silverman's in this. And I'm like, I don't know how I didn't realize that. You know?
Very cartoony, cutesy voice and fun. Yeah, she's awesome. It's fun to see all that.
It's cool to see all the crossovers and stuff like that, you know. I don't know how long we've been going or how late this is. Oh, we're like right at an hour right now.
Yeah.
I know it's pretty late. You did the open mic before this.
Yeah.
We can keep going as much as you want, but I also always want to give my guests an opportunity to like plug their websites, upcoming shows, anything you got going on. So
mind if I just hit on that and we go back to the thing?
Yeah, definitely.
So so in all the places, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that shit, I'm Laugh Your Lukoff. You have to spell it somewhere because no one's gonna fucking write it down. LUKOFF.
.com.
So Laugh Your Lukoff on Twitter and Instagram, and also laughyourlukoff.com.
Okay.
I've got
I'll put that in the link.
Nice. That goes to my link tree, which just has. Right now, I was just using Linktree, just having just whatever upcoming shows I got listed there. This weekend, I'll be at the Comic of the Year competition.
Yeah.
And then I'm just doing whatever I can do. I'm doing some stuff in Portland next month. Got some fun shows lined up. Pretty excited for.
Okay. Yeah, and this is going to come out the following Wednesday.
Oh, perfect.
So that Comic of the Year thing, the first round will be over, but. We're making it to the second round.
So we're gonna be there again. Go the next week.
Yeah, we're making it to the second round. So come see if you're in Boise. Comic of the Year, Fall Blue City Comedy. You'll be able to get all the information on that, and we'll be to the second round by then. So we need your votes, everybody.
Yeah, those are gonna be such incredible shows. Just because, like, just everyone on there's great, and everyone's just gonna be bringing their best stuff, and the shows are gonna be. I think they're all gonna be packed rooms. Like, it's just gonna be a great time for everybody. So. However far I make it in, the audience is in for a fucking treat, and I'm excited for the experience. And just the way they have it lined out just looks like a good setup for a competition show. I say that now until I lose, then I'm like, well, fucking shit, fuck this shit.
And if you're a fan that can't go to a lot of shows, that's the best one to go to.
That's
there's such a variety of comedians, and you know they're all bringing top tier stuff.
And then you can come the next week and see your favorites most likely make it through, and then see them progress, because we're doing different material each show until the final show, which we can do some of the same. The whole point's to get people that can do strong 20 minutes, which if you're a non-comedian you might not realize how big of a deal that is, but people work for a long time to get 20 actually powerful minutes that can really stand up.
Oh yeah, that's like you were saying, you've done probably close to 1,000 sets, including the Zooms and everything, and it's like it probably takes that to get a strong feature set. Oh yeah, if not more. Depending on the person, obviously, but you gotta keep cranking them out. And like I was going to every single open mic for the longest time, and people were like, "Well, why do you have to do so many of them if you're only coming up with new jokes at this rate or whatever?" And I'm like, because just when you write it down on paper, it's not ready to go.
No.
You gotta go tell that joke 50 times.
And you're gonna make it better and think of shit you didn't think of writing it down. Because even if it is an amazing joke, as it is, you're gonna make it better by doing it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, comedy is one of those things that it's like skateboarding. Like, you can have an idea of it, but you have to be doing it consistently to stay smooth at it and be able to execute it,
Yeah. Yeah, so all those places, and so then they go, "Hey, do you want to start the show?" And we're like, "Yeah, let's do that." And then Nate went up, killed, did just fucking solid shit, 5 minutes, just fucking awesome watching them. Got to take some cool pictures of them. And I was just right off the stage. So, like, if you're looking at the stage, on the left, there's a curtain with the separates us in the front, right lower is the audience. There's some sofas and a TV showing what was on the stage. So, because we're watching it from the side.
Okay.
And then I went up and I wanted to say I murdered, and I didn't. But I did some material that I thought was... I don't know if I did this, like, sabotage myself or have an excuse if I didn't crush. But, like, I was going to do some stuff I thought was a little safer, but then, like, this other bit came up that I just had to do, and I really enjoyed doing it. And it still worked.
Yeah.
Still got a lot of the audience on board with me, but it was a little more mixed, where afterwards people were like... There's some stuff about roasting religion, a little bit of Christianity and stuff, but mostly it was about being a parent and people who can't take jokes.
Yeah, well, there's
jokes.
always those risks you got to take sometimes for your favorite bits, and you know, like, hey, some people aren't going to like this, but the people that do like it are going to love it.
Yeah,
you know?
and they were into it, man, and then just feeling that, like, huge at the end. And it was before the, like, I was Niko Lukoff parts. It was like after my last punch, it was just like, could just feel it moving and rolling. I'm like, that felt good.
Yeah.
And I got to get off stage. So when I went up, because Nate announced me, so I got to get on stage in front of 9,000 people, hug him.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, motherfucker. I was like, that's my, because he mentioned the self-promoting cunt thing. So I'm like, that's my favorite self-promoting cunt. and then after stage, I gets off stage, I give him a big hug. And then we're sitting there, and I had just announced Dean Del Rey to get on stage, which is funny because so Nate and I were swapping microphones. So when Dean Del Rey comes on, I'm like, Dean Del Rey. That was just fun, just shouting and shit and having the whole place go lose their minds.
In that big of an arena, and like bringing up Dean Del Rey.
And then he comes up, and I'm turning to look at him, passing him the mic, and he's like, he already had a mic in his hand. So I don't know how many normal people notice that, but all the comedians I talked to afterwards who were at the show watching, they're like, yeah, I saw that. I'm like, that's funny shit. I was telling them about it. They're like, yeah, I was wondering what happened. Like, yeah, that's what happened. Then I got off stage, I'm like, fuck.
It's more of an inside baseball thing. I'm sure the fans at the show.
Even if they did, I don't give a... It was just funny, dude.
Yeah.
It was fun. And then I sat down, and then we're watching Dean just crush, and this is one of the cool things about Bill. We're sitting there, and this is just fucking Bill Burr, like, right here. I'm on the same... We're sitting on... It sounds really big. We're on the same couch. We're like, yeah, we're just saying out. Bill, me, Nate, fucking around on our phones at a comedy show.
Yeah.
This is fucking awesome.
Well, and that's a wild idea to, like, somebody that you've always, like, built up and put on this pedestal and stuff, because, I mean, they deserve it. Like, Bill Burr's huge.
Yeah.
But it's weird to see them in, like, a normal environment with you and, like, you're saying, ordering the food and stuff.
Yeah, like, we're humans doing shit. Like, we felt like peers in a way, and it was just cool. And I think he wanted us to feel... It was really cool because eventually we're sitting there watching Dean on stage, and then Bill goes, hey, to me, hey, guys, let's take the picture right now.
Yeah.
So he just knew, obviously, we wanted to take one. He knew it was going to be awkward for us. Like, when do we say, hey, Bill, can we take a picture? And he didn't want to fuck with it after his set.
Yeah.
So
that's super cool of him to do that. To be the one to be like, hey, it's picture time. Like, get in here, guys. Like,
so it's me, Nate, and Bill. That's how we were lined up. And Bill kind of went on the other side of Nate. And then we had Kenny, his tour manager, was taking the picture. And then Bill just goes, I should be in the middle. We're like, yeah, you probably should, just height-wise and shit. And it's just funny, just shit. Took a great picture. Nate took pictures of me, so got good angles of that shit. And then I got to sit. So, like, I'm sitting on the sofa right here. Probably 15 feet that way, I'm watching Bill Burr walk back and forth and just fucking murder.
Hell yeah.
For an hour, saying some of the funniest shit. And
I've always saw him just sitting backstage right before that, too.
Yeah, we're just hanging up, like,
calm as shit.
When we're going on stage, like, I wanted to do, like, at the shows, we'd be like, let's do a fist, but like, hey, look, crush Bill. I didn't say that. I wanted to. But I got, like, a picture of him just, like, walking up the stairs up there, too, and just going into it. And his next special is going to fucking be insane. Because, I mean, I know most will, do their hour on tour, then eventually record it as their thing. And it was just really, really fun. And then when it was done, he left and went back to his dressing room. And Nate and I went and Ubered to bar in Nampa, and then it was really cool. There's like probably 10 of our locals who were there, some that had been at the show, some that had it, and like cheered like we just won a fucking game or something.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, you did, man. That's a big victory right there.
And I felt like it was like we just happened to be the ones doing it, but like all of us together as a team, and we got to share fun stories and have drinks right then and just have a good time. And and we Ubered there to the bar with Chris and Wendy also. Actually, Uber, not them driving, but
nice.
Fun. And it was fun
because they went and saw the Bill Burr show too.
So they dropped us off, went back to their house, and then Ubered to the show, so they didn't have to drive later because getting out of the fucking place was insane. And then wanted to go places after, but like walking from the venue to the gas station where we're getting the Uber, like we're walking past people, past hotels, and like everybody, just me and Nate walking by. It was like, ah, we're like, yeah,
hell yeah.
It was just fun, and it just felt good. And talked to some people who said some nice stuff, and then some lady fucking yelled at me that she was a Christian and drove off while we were hanging out outside. And guess what, lady? You gave me some more material. I appreciate that because that's in my fucking set.
Yeah,
I got a fun story about that. And then I tweeted at Bill about 2 a.m, like, thanks, da, 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 da. And then like a week or two later, he's like, thanks for doing the show. And then we're like tweeting back and forth, like at the same, like not just late at night or whatever, just like talking about the local. It was like, thanks, you inspired her scene, and you mentioned some nice things about her scene. And I DM'd him, plugged Blue City Comedy, being like, just I wanted him to know this is where the shit's happening in our town, and it's been neat.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, that's an amazing experience. I get excited just hearing you talk about all the steps of it and everything and going through it all. And that's super cool that Chris and Wendy like brought you to the show. Yeah. Did the little pre-show podcast, and then they were able to hang out with you after the show. I love those guys. They're super
they're
cool.
awesome.
That's when they were doing just the toasted marshmallows. That's the first podcast I ever did.
Oh, cool.
That's what inspired this show, really. I mean, I always loved podcasts, but once I was on one the very first time, I was like, I got to figure out how I can do this like, all the time.
I love it. That's like the when I was like, I got to figure out how to do comedy all the time. That's how I got to figure out how to do Zooms. And once we see like we have to we're going to figure this out. We're going to fucking figure this out. We're going to do a thing that maybe wasn't happening already, or there's plenty of room to do this thing in. Like in the group like Displaced was just like, no one's doing this. And some people gave me a little shit. I got a little shit actually just from some people, just kind of like, why do you get what I'm like, I just did a thing. Go fucking do your own thing if you want to do something.
Yeah.
Like no, I didn't take anything from anybody. I did a thing, and this is how it is because I say it's how it is. And if you don't like it, like I don't have the energy to fucking argue with you. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. Well, the other thing about that type of stuff is people being like, why does this person get to do this, or why is this person's opportunity? It's like, it's not like you did anything that anyone else couldn't have done. Yeah. They're just upset at themselves for not building something like that, or for not shooting out the tweet, or whatever the situation is. Yeah. They're like, oh, I wish that was me. Yeah. But not out of any true animosity towards you. It's really like a why did I do that? Like a kicking yourself type thing. You know?
And then I fucking tweeted at other comedians since no one else has replied.
Yeah, why not? Friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was one cool thing, like right when we met Bill, and he's like, talk about, like I said, the guys bugged me on Twitter, I'm like, yeah, it was me, I was messaging. He did specifically say that proactively. By the way, you can tell everybody, like he just knew what we were. I was already thinking, like, can I tell people about this? He's like, yeah, tell everybody about the Twitter stuff, like, because now he might get more tweets, but he knows how to fucking not read a tweet or read one and be like, shit, now I'm got all these, because when it first happened, I didn't know how usual or unusual this was. I legit was like, I wasn't like, this is super normal, but I wasn't, but also was like, a lot of comedians will find local comics who will be on the show.
And maybe that's a thing he does regularly.
And maybe people tweet at him and say, can I open? And then he just does it. But I don't think it's super normal.
Yeah. I mean, I've never heard of it.
I don't think it is. I've heard of some other people, a couple other ones, so I don't know. Maybe we started a thing where everyone coming to Boise is getting, all the headliners getting annoyed out of him and never come back.
No, I mean, even before Twitter and stuff, like I've heard comedians on podcasts, like famously, the one that comes to mind is Shane Gillis is talking on a podcast about how when he was like open micer, just barely getting road shows level, that he was emailing comics. Nice. And then later on, he gets his fame and becomes friends with them, and he's like, did you ever read that pathetic email I sent you fucking 5 years ago, bud? Like, if you didn't, like, don't look it up right now. And then on the podcast, the dude looks it up.
Of course.
Goes, wow, dude. I'm like, really going for it.
That's so funny.
Well, fuck you for not reading it. Like, now we're on the same thing. Like, but, like, people were shooting their shot. And I think really that's what comedy's about anyway. Plus, like, any opportunity you have to do that actually works out, like it builds you up so much. Like earlier on, I was talking about how I had like one thing liked by a famous comedian, and I got a little bit of backlash for like sharing a screenshot of it or whatever. It's like, I don't give a shit what you think, dude. That made my whole fucking day, just knowing that person that I respect so much at least read my name and like liked something.
Who was it?
Or laughed at something. Who was the pushback thing?
No, who's the good person? Who's the person you tweeted at or liked your thing?
So I've had two famous people that like someone
engaged.
gave a response to me on the internet. I had a thing where Bert Kreischer was like he does this every month.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I've noticed since I've been following him quite a while. Where he goes, who should my next podcast guest be? And then the comments like blow up with all these people. And then I had said something, and then my wife said, you should have my husband Jake Martin on there or whatever, you know. And then he liked that one. And then out of thousands of comments, there's nothing, and I'm like, oh, I'm screenshotting that.
Yeah,
like, that's super cool that he liked that comment. And then on Twitter, I have like no following. Yeah. And I've always had a hard time.
Same.
Like, I only started Twitter maybe a year ago when I started doing comedy.
Yeah.
And I've had a hard time, like, gaining followers on Twitter. And so basically what I do is I reply or make jokes in the comments on other people's things that they posted or whatever, or, you know, go back and forth. That's the only way I've really been able to find followers on there. Because I also make tweets and post about my podcast.
Dude, I get nothing.
That gets nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
I'm like, I post, I think I tweeted later, is like, I'm like, I post world class jokes, best jokes in the world. Fucking crickets. And then I commented on one lunatic's conspiracy theory in a kind of mocking but agreeing way where, like, if you're not thinking properly, you might think I'm agreeing. Yeah. And then I got a bunch of fucking
a shit ton of notifications.
Like my comment. Well, fucking follow me first of all. Like my comment, and they were liking a comment someone else made mine too. I was like, okay, whatever. But whatever. Oh, and then fucking this is crazy too. So Bill Burr's got like 2.1 million followers. Yeah. He follows like 400 in the teens. Uh-huh. And I swear I think it was a mistake, but he followed me on Twitter. Yeah? Is he still doing it? Yeah, so hell yeah, dude. He did that from the first day, like that interaction, I tweeted at him. I was like, this was a mistake that he made. Don't let him realize it. And then I spent 6 months just making sure not to post super dumb stuff. Yeah. Because last thing I want, because like
comes up on his feed and he's like, why am I following
these guys? Fuck these guys. And now I'm not he's the petty, but like I just didn't want anything to fuck it up or him to be like, these guys aren't worth fucking with. Like when the venue messaged me and then like, how do you know you're on the show? And I'm like, well, I tweeted with Bill Burr. They're like, oh, well, that's all that kind of thing happens. Well, let me talk to my boss to see what I should do. I'm like, just don't drop it. Fucking drop it. I deleted my post. I'm like, I don't want someone bugging someone else to be like, hey, Bill, did you? And then him be like, fuck you guys. Yeah. And that's, I don't think that would have happened. But then like I later did tag the venue later when it was like rock solid.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. And like that same thing happened with Jack too. With Bert ended up following him on Instagram awesome. And all that shit. And that's so cool. That's just like a whole nother leg up, especially with only like you're saying, over 2 million followers, and then he's following 400 people, and one of those people is you.
And most of them are famous comedians.
Yeah, they gotta be. If you're narrowing that box down, like it's like movie stars, comedians, producers,
athletes, and shit. And,
that's awesome, man. And the only other time I ever had interaction with another famous comedian on the internet was through Twitter, and it was Bonnie McFarlane.
Oh, cool.
I had been doing what I was talking about, where I'll make a little fucking joke in the comments on some other thing that they put or whatever, and I had done that on one of her posts, made my fucking whatever joke it was in the comments on her thing, and then I saw her like it or whatever, and was like, no way. Nice. Yeah. And then I ended up, I think, either send a message to her or a reply tweet or something like that, and then got a second one from her of like, that wasn't an accident type thing, and I was like, fuck yeah, But just the littlest thing like that, like I was saying, I'll always hit the like button or the share button on people's stuff, because it's that little tiny bit of effort that those people put in that totally made my fucking day. That shit might have made my whole week. Yeah. And I'm like, if I could ever barely help somebody just by the click of a mouse, like I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
for sure.
and they're giving them engagement on their posts, and that helps all the algorithm-y shit.
Yeah, definitely. Whatever. Like we're talking quite a bit about Chris and Wendy. We're kind of working out a thing right now where we're gonna do like a round robin type of thing with the podcast in Boise, and all start promoting each other's stuff on each other's shows and on videos and stuff like that. And I'm like, Boise's not big enough, and none of the podcasts here are big enough that we can be in this alone. Yeah. So like helping each other out like that is invaluable, because if I have 2,000 followers that are different than the followers that they have, then we basically swap audiences every time we do that, and some people will trickle over back and forth. And it's like, I'll get some listeners from that, they'll get some listeners from my thing, and hopefully we can all build our way up to like a sustainable thing.
It is so much better when we just do it together.
Yeah,
that's my whole
definitely.
fucking thing from all of it. All these connections and comedy, life, everything. It's just like, it's like, let's just help each other and don't be mean, and we're all gonna get better at this shit.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and it sounds like with building that displaced comedians thing, that you kind of realize that, like, if you are consistently putting an effort into something that you see as like a reality eventually coming, it will possibly grow beyond what you dreamed it to be.
Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, if everybody helps everybody, this becomes a way bigger thing than I ever thought it could be.
And
you know?
and that's where I knew like it was going to grow eventually into like live stuff's going to come back, and now we're going to be. And some people don't agree with me in this. That's fine, and I see their logic. It's just oh well, about like people come in the group and are like, hey, where should I do comment? Like, where should I do shows in this town and this town? Yes, there are regional groups, and those groups should be joined also.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't know what groups those are. Someone comment on. Sometimes there's overlap, and sometimes there's not. Still, if someone in our group in this place knows of a thing, or if they happen to be a booker in that area, they might hit, reply to that or something like that. So,
there's no limit on the amount of groups you can
shouldn't
join.
leave
so
one
you're
and
not
leave another.
You're not taking away from a local group just because someone joined Displaced. They could also join whatever local groups they want to in addition to. It's just you have it all in one place.
I think it's a little clutter to some people, but I don't really give a shit. You can fucking scroll all you want. I try to take off when I see that it's just spammy videos.
Yeah.
It's just, or like a bunch of the same. I even want flyers of shows on there, especially if you're in the group and you're promoting a show you're on. If you're just coming to the group just to promote a show, I'll probably figure that out, and you're just not really being helpful unless you're like trying to book people and whatever. But
I was wondering if people kind of take advantage of that or not, because I've seen a lot of like self-promotion stuff in all the different groups I'm in, and sometimes it's just flagged right away where they're like, we don't let anyone share videos in this group, and then sometimes it's like it will take a while for the admin to catch it and be like, oh, this guy's just putting advertisements for whatever stupid thing he's selling. It has nothing to do with this group.
and that's happened like where I had, I forget his name, it's Andy something, Gotham does the newbie fucking bringer show stuff there.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, Engel, I think it's Andy Engel.
Okay.
And he was like, can I post? He emailed. Yeah, he had somebody. He's not. I guess he's not as much internet-y guy. Like, he wanted to talk on the phone. So I'm talking to this guy, and his like person, his whoever system, whatever, is like, hit me up. Like, he just wants to talk. I'm like, okay, we'll talk.
Yeah.
I guess I'd rather like just with you, but I'll fucking talk. I'm not trying to big time either. I'm just like, how much time and energy I want to put into.
It's way more convenient.
I kind of knew where it was going.
Say what you're going to say, and then I'll respond.
Because if you want to talk to me instead, you're probably trying to convince me of something and trying to read my emotions and whatever. But whatever, we talked, and he's like, thought it was cool and kind of impressed like about the group, but also was like, so could I post my thing, like charging money for whatever? I'm like, you can do. Oh, I think he wanted to pay me some amount of money. I think it was. He wanted to pay me some amount of money to do that. I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, like pay you money to let him bend the rules.
I'm not. Well, not just that, because once I take your money, we work a deal. Yeah. It's me vouching for you, and I don't fucking know you.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I should. Maybe everyone else knows him, and I'm just an idiot who doesn't. That's my naive in this. So there's a lot of things I don't know. But I'm like, I don't know you, and I don't know what you're selling.
Well, you can't know everything.
And you can post in the group just like everybody else. Like, he's like, really? Almost like you're just letting people post stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this for fucking money, dude. I'm just like doing it.
Oh, and he thought everyone was paying.
Or something. I don't know. But I'm like, look, you can post about it. I said, but I will warn you, people will respond.
Yeah.
And I'm only going to moderate that so much. Yeah. And then I just do one of these sometimes a little bit. I still watch, and I don't want people to be cruel, but be honest with what you're promoting. And if you're not, people are going to definitely get on your case, and you might get weeded out in that process.
Yeah, well, some people are totally fine with doing bringer shows. It's a good way to, like, get a spot if you can't get a spot. And then there's, like, all these different, like, pay-to-play things, you know what I mean? Like, I did a music festival last summer is when I booked it and stuff. But I actually didn't end up being there for the festival,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and it was completely that in the beginning.
Yeah, I heard you had
was like a
spur of the moment vacation you had to take or something.
yeah, the old forced vacation. I had to pay to get that stage time, but it was basically like you pay for this block of time, and then in exchange you get tickets, which is the definition of a bringer show. But it wasn't like comedy is at this event. This is a big music festival that people are buying camping passes for the whole weekend for.
Yeah.
And then I know the value of those.
Yeah.
I go to that music festival regularly. So the price that
so you've been there before too. So you know what you're getting. You know what you're buying.
Well, and that's why I agreed to it is because the price I was paying as an artist as opposed to a customer, which I was the previous 2 years, I was like, I was going to spend that to go to this thing. Anyway. You know what I mean? If I buy 3 VIP tickets, it's going to cost me X amount, and you're giving me that, same deal, but then I get backstage for all the comics that I'm going to have on the show. I can then pay them with these tickets that are usually valued at $200 and see, hey, you want the stage time basically for free, but you get to stay for this whole festival that's usually $200 to do. Everyone was fine with doing that. And then I had a little bit over the top as far as the tickets left, so I could either then sell them and turn a profit or give them away as a promotion for the show, which is what I did. I went on the internet, Facebook group, that's specific to that music festival and said, hey, we're doing a fucking giveaway type thing, if everybody likes this post and then, follows it or whatever, then at the end of this X amount of time, I'm going to give these tickets away for free to some people that maybe couldn't afford to go because it's kind of an expensive show to go to, or that want to bring some friends and they didn't want to tell their friends, hey, you got to buy these tickets last minute and all this stuff. So it was like a win-win. I broke completely even on it in my eyes.
That's coming out ahead as a producer.
And even though I didn't even get to go, like it still was not a negative for me because the show went great. All the comedians had a great time. They said they want to come back. The promoter of the festival hit me up and said, you guys are on for next year if you want it. We might change the way we're doing things a little bit, make it a little less on your end of trying to turn a profit, and you might not have to pay as much, or
maybe they'll pay whatever, the fucking talent.
Some type of thing like that. And I said, okay, whatever it is, I'm in, because it's a different audience than I always get, and I'm committed to going to that thing whether I'm doing jokes at it or not. So I'm just glad that now I'm a part of your guys' entertainment as opposed to just watching it.
That's fun, dude. That's awesome. And I do want to say this on the bringer thing. I don't like, obviously, the concept of people being in the audience just because somebody said, hey, you have to be here and pay $25 to be here. And they got a bunch of audience that's kind of in a weird environment. Are they laughing for whatever? And do people watching that tape accepting that? Can they tell? Whatever. But I also will not pretend to have the perspective of every person and all their experience and drive and what they need. So everything's a little different. It just comes down to being genuine about it. So that experience you have is different though than of you being like, hey, I need 8 people to come pay $20 to get in,
or I can't go up, or I'm not getting paid, or whatever.
And that's kind of whatever. And people can have the whatever views, and I kind of don't care enough.
The reason I mentioned that as like a bringer opportunity is because that same event company that like booked that through me, I talked to other people because they mostly do hip hop and rap stuff, and they got Young Buck to do the same stage the same night that we were doing it, and some other like local rappers that I know. I was like, hey, hit these people up because they still have slots left on this stage, and this might be a big opportunity for you to be able to like grow your following or whatever. And then they go, I'm not paying to play anywhere, they could pay me. And I'm like, well, if you look at it that way, then that's what you get. But if you look at it as, if I put in a little bit of work and sell 1 ticket or 2 tickets, then I'm making way more than I make from my normal whatever bar show.
So they gave you tickets that you could have sold. That was the whole point.
They gave me far more value of tickets than the money I gave them.
And then
double.
And more than if you sold those tickets for close to what they were worth. Then you would have made decent money for doing a show.
So
in that case,
if I wanted to, I could have turned it out.
That's total. That's like if we did a show in Boise and someone was like, hey, we can't pay you, but we'll give you 5 free tickets. I'm not giving any fucking Never mind. No fucking. I'm not giving anybody ideas on how to make comedians. But like, just if if it was a lock to sell those, I mean, just end results.
Yeah, well, in my eyes, it's similar to like a door deal.
Yeah.
Where they're like, you get X% of the door. So if nobody comes, you're not getting much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you're guaranteeing that 5 people come, you get all that money from those people, and we're completely out of it. We just want you to pay this bottom fee so that we know we're not losing
if you don't
money,
sell.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or even if I don't show up, they at least got something. You know what I mean? Which I think it'll be a little bit different dynamic here, but I was happy to do it because even if like I didn't sell the tickets, which in the end I ended up giving them away for free, I still would have broke even just by not paying for my tickets to go to that event, which I was planning on doing anyway.
Yeah.
You know.
Cool. It's nice when the balance is there for what people need and want and exchange and shit.
Yeah. Well, and then the opportunity too. I know they do a similar deal for like going on tour for different like hip hop and rappers.
Cool.
Where they'll have somebody big that's going to be bringing a big audience, and then they'll say, hey, if you want to do 5 shows with this guy, it's going to be whatever, this flat fee, and we'll put you on tour with him, and you can sell merch, you can do whatever, but we're not paying you to go on tour with this guy because you're a nobody.
Yeah.
But if you want to, here's the opportunity. And specifically one guy who did that, his followings became huge. He's doing music videos now. He did a few music videos with Afro Man, who was like the main artist that they were promoting at that time, and then like totally blew up his career. And I'm sure tons of people in he's a Portland artist, but I'm sure tons of people in his community out there were like, what, you're gonna give these guys like a few $100 just to go on stage? It's like, if he's confident that when he gets on that stage he's gonna win over the crowd, how much money do you pay in advertising? How much money do you pay to get an opportunity to do a song?
And all that merch and shit you're going to sell.
Well, in rap, people pay a lot of money for like a big artist to feature on their song just so they have their name in it, and then 16 bars from that guy or whatever. It's a similar thing like that to me. You're investing in yourself. You know? But a straight up bringer show is a lot different.
And there's just different scenes and different things that I'm not going to pretend to understand or know, and I'm not going to. Fuck do I care?
Well, and it seems like you got your hands in a lot of different baskets already.
Well,
anyway, and they seem to be working well for you. So I'm
having fun. I'm very fortunate that I feel like I'm getting booked enough to just keep having a nice time and a good family balance. I had to cut back on how many nights I went out. I was like, all right, I'm just going out. I love the Saturday night mic, but I'm like, Vern's a whole nother night. I'm just like, I'm just gonna do Thursdays. And if I get booked on other shows, I'll do that. Then when I travel, I'm fucking game on. As many things as I can do, I'll fucking go.
Yeah. Well, because then you're already not there with the family.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and then,
stay in the hotel like you were saying, or fucking go out.
Well, part of my job in sales is, my job is to like take clients out, have a good time, connect and bond. And what fucking crazier need or thing to bond over than comedy. And when they find out I'm a comedian, they're always like, oh shit, can we see a thing? I'm like, want to go to a show? And they like, it's like a great bond. My first open mic I went to was with clients that I had never met before until that day.
Oh wow.
And I invited them to go out to the thing, and then like they got there and I was like, so I'm gonna go up, by the way. Like they didn't know.
Yeah.
Like go sit down, order some food and drinks. I'm gonna pace out here like a lunatic because of something. You can just see me do comedy for the first time.
Yeah. And
then it was amazing. I mean, like I'm not saying it was amazing or crushed, but like I had a good time. It was a great audience. Ely, Portland, hot crowd. I was fortunate. I felt great. Got off stage. Went with the guy who closed it out, Adam Posse, who had just won Portland's Funniest Person a few days before. I didn't know what that meant or was, whatever.
Yeah, because it's your first time doing comedy. You're not like in all the groups.
And then he invited me and the guys I was hanging out with to another mic afterwards, more like a divey bar kind of one, like a real open mic.
Yeah.
And then out to like go hang out at his house. Like him and a bunch of comics rented a house called Clinton House on Clinton Street. So like we'll hang out there till like 3 a.m. with like bartenders that we'd met that night, or that I had met that night, who were the girlfriends and boyfriends of all the comics and everybody, and just like hanging out on his porch. I'm like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta go to bed, and then we've been connected since, and I think he's gonna try to work on something to come to Boise and help. I'm gonna help put something together, I think. And
nice, that's awesome.
Hoping to see him next month.
I love the way the networking thing in comedy works. Yeah. Like I was explaining this to my wife not too long ago, that like if you go on a show with other comics and then you do well and you're personable with them, then you're in their mind every time they're coming through your area, and then you can hit them up when you're going through their area, and it just always builds on itself and opens more and more doors.
Yeah, like Portland had a decent amount of people doing Zooms. There was actually Zooms that were mostly Portland people based. And I was fun because I would hop onto those and they weren't in the normal Zoom scene, so different comics to joke with that I hadn't seen all my jokes. And and then when I do live shows, like I did a live show, I did an open mic. They asked people running a show that Thursday night, asked if I was in town still. I wasn't gonna be, but then I ended up staying in town. I got to do a guest spot on there. Next time I was there, one of the producers of that show was producing another show that I got onto. We didn't get on the flyer because there wasn't enough time, but like I still got like a full slot, like the people on it. Had a great time. Next time, there were 2 people on that show who produced other shows. I did one of them. I'm doing the next one next week, and the other one again next week. And then shows I was on another. It's probably boring for people to hear now, but just like each one of those have people on them.
Another opportunity,
now I was doing 5, then I had to cancel one because I had some conflict stuff. So 4 shows there that week, and all but one of them was because I was on a show with somebody that's producing another show.
Yeah, you were on a prior show.
Yeah,
did well. Talk to them, and then you hit them up the next time you're coming through town. They're like, "Yeah, I'll get you on this show. I know this guy, you know."
Here's a recent clip. If they hadn't seen me in a while. Some had obviously, but yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, how are you feeling? You want to wrap it up? I'm about ready to call it, man.